Hello and welcome to episode 3 of my ARK Survival Evolved tutorial series. This episode is going to be on levelling up our characters, using engram points to learn new engrams, and gathering different types of resources. And what a beautiful day it is here in the world of ARK. Before we begin, let me test your knowledge of this beautiful game by asking you a question and thereby engaging you and letting you know that you are a part of this series. So here is my question, and it is aimed at players who have been playing a while. If you tame a dinosaur, then start a new character, is that dinosaur lost to you? Good question, eh? I will give you some time to think about that, and then I will answer you. Okay, let's start by saying thank you to Anthers Runeseeker for pointing out in the comments in episode 1 about the fact you drop everything from your inventory when you die, including your quick slots. So, talking about these slots down here. It will still show the icons of the items you had slotted before death, but the items will be in your body bag. Thank you, Anther, for your help. It is much appreciated. Next, a massive thank you to Roman, not for his roads, but in episode 2 he left a comment giving us loads of information regarding his experience in ARK. Thank you very much, Mike, for that. I know your time is precious, so to give it so generously was absolutely lovely of you. Thank you very much. For those of you watching, please always feel free to contribute. If I make a mistake, or you know a better way of doing something, or you simply just want to say hi, then do, and you will be greeted with a friendly welcome, as it is always lovely to hear from all of you. Okay, so here we are, naked on a beach, alone in the world, which would be paradise, except there are carnivores with big teeth, or creatures with deadly poisons. But even these will prove to be to our advantage as time moves on, and we can start to tame them and use them to our advantage, like for harvesting, or taking down bigger prey, or simply as a means to travel as mounts, be that as land mounts or as our own private aircrafts. They all have a use, and we will exploit that. But that is the future, and we are in the now. So let's start by taking a look at what happens when you gain a level. The first thing you will notice, if I come out of the inventory, the first thing you will notice is the green text across the top of the screen telling us level up is available. Also, the experience arrow in the bottom right of the screen will be flashing, as you can see. So let's press the I key to take us back into the inventory so we can increase one of our stats. Every time you gain a new level, you can increase one of your stats, plus you get engram points to spend, which you can use to buy engrams. Think of engrams as crafting recipes. Now, different people will focus on raising different stats. It might be you get a quarter of the way into playing ARK, then realise that you made mistakes with either your stats or the engrams that you'd purchased with your engram points that you'd learned. Worry not. If you're playing in your own offline world, you can just start again and try a different configuration with the stats and the engrams, because we are playing in an offline world, we will not need to lock anything or use PIN codes to protect our containers. So we will still have access to anything that you've made previously, structures, containers. Some things like crop plots and tamed dinosaurs, you will not have access to their inventories. But let me now answer the question I asked you at the beginning of this episode by showing you the answer. Okay, so what we will do, let's come out of there. Don't worry, I'll come back to that in 1 second. First of all though, I need to answer you because you're all giving your answers. And the answer is right there before you. So the correct answer, well, the question first of all, is if you tame a dinosaur and then you restart a new character, do you lose the dinosaurs? And you can clearly see the correct answer to that is no, you do not. So there we are. Anyway, so that's what I want this series to be about, okay? Is information, and when I can possibly make it correct, and it's within my power to do so, I shall do so. Right, okay, so anyway, let's continue on. Right, okay. Now, until we retame them dinosaurs though, there are other uses for them, however. If you mated up your dinosaurs, as in you put a male next to a female, they will not be your tame dinosaurs, okay? But when they lay eggs, they drop as unclaimed. So you can still use them dinosaurs for their eggs, or kill them for meat and hides. Also, when you pick up a tamed dinosaur's egg, it will not turn aggressive. If it were a wild dinosaur, however, it would turn aggressive as soon as you pick the egg up. But I will cover eggs in later episodes, because there are some good uses for eggs. And it will be a good one. Episode, that is. Anyway, back to the stats. Sorry, I know I drift, but then that's just the gamester. I suggest you get used to it because it is for your benefit in the long run. Anyway, sorry, continuing on before my waffle gets out of control. Personally, when it comes to stats, and here's the stats I'm talking about before us. Personally, there are two good choices in my opinion, because remember, all that you hear in this series will be just my opinion. To start raising, the two stats that I like to start raising, I will start first of all by getting my carry weight up. This, personally, to me, is my most important. Okay? I will get the carry weight up to 200. Then I will get my health to 200. You see, in the beginning, we will be doing lots of harvesting. So to be able to carry more makes a lot of sense. We are not looking for a fight just yet, so health is a secondary consideration. All of the stats are useful, make no odds about that. But you will see me just doing carry weight, health, and then some food to start with. As our situation changes, and as I perhaps want to start maybe showing you caves under the water, then perhaps we will need things like oxygen. But it depends on your play style and just what it is you want to do. You know, as in relation as to what stats you will need to raise. But in this series you will see as I do actions that require the stats, then perhaps I will raise them stats accordingly. But for now, know this: weight is your best friend as a stat. The more you can carry, the less trips back to your storage. And I know we can get dinosaurs to carry. Look at us, we're butt naked. We don't have a dino yet. We will soon enough, but I'm talking about the now, not the future. Okay, so moving on. Sorry, I keep losing myself in my notes. Okay, so all of the stats, yep, no, I've said that already. Yeah, so I just want to repeat, this is just my preference. You choose whatever you want and experiment. After all, is that not the fun of playing this wonderful game? But you will have the advantage of seeing how my choice benefits me and make an informed decision from what you see. So I will increase carry weight. Let's have a look at how much our carry weight increases. So I will click on the plus, and there we go. Now, oh wait a minute, I need to click again. Sorry, I wasn't on the screen. There we go. So you can see it's increased by 10 points. So whenever we increase one of our stats, well, one of these stats, like for health and for the weight, you'll notice that they increase up by 10 points. Okay. That's now cool because it means that I can now carry more. Less trips back to storage, less reliance on a dinosaur. Now, before we look at engrams, let's first look at what we can craft right at the beginning of the game. And we will do this by pressing the V key to bring up the crafting window. So let's clear that. Let's have a look at that wild trike, which is unsettling the ground. Okay, now, so if we press the V key, here is our crafting window. Now, notice, okay, by default, this is what you will see. In here you will see there's a folder and it says weapons. That is the only recipes we know so far. Now, to save having to keep opening folders in the crafting area, so to save having to keep clicking on that folder, then having to keep clicking on primitive, then having to click on melee, God, what a rigmarole, eh? Going 3 subfolders down. Well, to save all of that aggravation, what we will simply do is click on, so let's take it back down so you can see, whoops, let's go all the way back. Okay, so here we are, it says back to that. Now, if we simply click on show all, there you go. Now it shows us just everything that we can make, thereby making your Arcanian lives much easier. And that's got to be what life is all about, whether it's playing ARK or in real life, making our lives easier. Okay, moving on. Now, that is a method for showing all the recipes that we can craft without having to go through all the folders. But once we get to knowing many recipes, okay, this form of display will, at that stage, not be any good to us because there'd be too many recipes displayed. So at that stage, what we will do is we will simply revert it back to folder form, because then it'll be much easier to find what type of item it is we want to craft. But you'll see that when we get there. Right, okay, so what's next? Notice that there are only 2 things we can make, a stone pick and a torch. Both are very important items, but the first thing we must make is the pick, because we will have to punch trees in order to get wood and thatch, and that will hurt us. So once we make a pick, the tool will take damage instead of us. Good, eh? Before we make a pick, however, let's learn some engrams. To do this, we will go back to our inventories by pressing the I key, and I didn't need to press actually the I key because it still displayed this, so ignore that bit of nonsense. So what we can simply do is click on Engram points to apply. As you can see, I've gained another level, so wow, doesn't it go quick? But for now, let's just click Engram points to apply. Now, I believe we would have had 4 on the first level up, so we got 4 more, we got 8. Ignore that fact for now, just bear in mind that we'd have only had about 4 to start with on the first level up. There are a ton of engrams that eventually you will be able to learn. The important thing to know which ones will suit your playstyle. Trial and error, my friends. In this series, I will show you my opinion of this. Sometimes my choices may be right for you, other times you may wish to take a different path. Just remember, your engram points are precious, so do not waste them. The first and most important engram to learn is the hatchet. So we will learn this, and then we will learn the spear, so we will have a good weapon to defend ourselves with early game. As we progress with this series, you will see my future choices, and I will try to explain why I made them. Okay, now let's learn the hatchet. So to learn an engram, left click on it, so it becomes, the border has this light blue outline, and then left click learn engram. There you go, we've now learnt the hatchet, and it told us that up above. Okay, now we've learned the hatchet, let's take another look at our crafting options again by pressing the V key. Okay, we have to press it twice. Notice now we have an additional third item, which is the hatchet. Now let's take a look at the pick first of all. You'll notice when you hover over any of your recipes, to the right in red or green, depending on if you have the resources, it's telling you what you need to make the item. So to make a stone pick, we will need 1 stone, 1 wood, and 10 thatch. Okay, now what I want to explain here, first of all, let's go through the resources. Now, so to make the pick, we require only 1 stone. The most easiest resource to get in ARK, okay, to start with, right at the beginning, while we're like this, is stones. You simply need to just walk around, keep pressing repeatedly the E key, and where there's stones on the ground, you will pick them up. So let's show you that. Now, most of the graphics on the ground are just static stones that you can't pick up. But you will see this stone here before us has a distinctly different graphic, and when I press the E key, I pick it up. You see at the top of the screen, I had 3 stones added. If you haven't increased the harvesting like I've done, you will only receive 1 stone. But the point being, if you keep moving and just pressing E, you will keep picking stones up. And before you know it, you'll have a pocket full. But be careful, because every time you're picking stones up, your weight is going up. So just bear that in mind when you're doing so. So we've got the stone that we need to make the pick. Okay, so you'd wander around pressing the E key. Next we need to get some wood, which we will have to punch a tree to get until we have the pick. And we will also need 10 thatch. Again, we will have to punch a tree to get thatch. But once we have the pick, life will become much easier. And the same again for when we have the hatchet. So let's get a few resources and make a cool pick. Okay, so let's get rid of that window. Let's find a tree and let's start punching it. We can press the E key some more and get some more stones, but I think we've got plenty. Okay, so here's a tree. What we have to now do is just simply press the left mouse button if you're using a PC, and away we go. Notice up the top we got the wood we need. We're just now getting the thatch. We need 10 thatch. Right, we have enough thatch. Now if we switch to the inventory, or in fact we don't have to go to the inventory. If I press the H key, observe in the bottom right corner we was down to 89 health, so we'd lost 11 health in just doing that. That is why we need our pick. So that is why we will now make a pick. Okay, we now have enough resources to make the pick. How do we know that? Because it's not a red recipe anymore. Notice how it's now turned whitish, greyish, whatever colour you want to call it. Observe to the right, the components are now in green, meaning that we now have what we need. On the left is what you need. On the right, where it says owned, is how many we have in our inventory. So to make the pick, we left click on it. We then left click on craft. You'll then see this progression bar, and you will notice our experience jumps up even more than if we're not sat there lazy doing nothing. And you know the gamester likes to be lazy. But there you are, we've now crafted ourselves a stone pick. Whoops, if we switch to the inventory, you will now observe that we have resources of stone, thatch and wood, but more importantly we have our stone pick. To put the pick into our quick slot, we left click, keep the button pressed and drag to a quick slot. I'll put it in quick slot 1. Okay, next we shall make a hatchet. So we switch to the crafting window and we will take a look. You will see that it needs 1 wood again, which we have. It will need another 10 thatch. We have 2, so we need 8 more. But additionally, it will need flint. So what we will now do is we will use the stone pick to gather the resources that we need to make our hatchet. And we won't hurt ourselves. So we're going to be nice to ourselves. So let's come out of that window. And whoops, let's come out there. Let's now equip the stone pick by pressing the number corresponding to our quick slot, which is number 1. There you go, we now got our pick. And we will now go to a tree and gather the resources we need. Don't worry, I'm going to go over in a moment the different tools and different resources that you can harvest. For now, let's just get the resources to make the hatchet so I can explain that to you. So first we need thatch. There we go, we've got enough thatch, nice and quick. Now we need some flint. So any boulder like this you see on the ground, okay, you'll get used to what they look like, but after a few of my episodes, you'll definitely get it. For now though, know that you can either get stones by picking them up off the ground or by mining rocks, boulders like this, but we need flint. You can't get flint by picking them off the ground, you have to mine and you have to use the pick to get the most. So again, let's just press and hold the left mouse button and it will start mining. There's stone, there you go, we've got the flint we need. Right, we will now switch to the crafting window and you will now see that all 3 recipes have become available, but the one we want is the stone hatchet. So we will left click on it and we will now left click craft item. Again, we will get a nice little bit of XP once it's finished. There you go. So we got some XP. And we now have a hatchet. So let's switch to the inventory. We will drag and drop it to quick slot 2. When I get around to making a torch, you'll notice I put it in quick slot 0. Okay though, but let's first go over the uses for these two tools. Okay, when you select hover over a tool, notice in the description there, it tells us the weight, and it also says a large stone pick for harvesting primary flint from rocks, thatch from trees and meat from bodies. So there's the free resources you will use your pick to get. If you are mining stone, the best tool to use is your pickaxe, because it will if you're mining if you need to mine flint, if you want your primary resource that you want is flint, then you will use a pickaxe to mine the boulders that we just mined from rocks. If your primary resource that you want is thatch, then you will use the pickaxe on trees. If the primary resource you want is meat, then you will use the pickaxe on the corpses of the animals you kill. Okay, moving over to the hatchet. If the primary resource you want is stone, then mining a rock will produce more stone than the pickaxe. If the primary resource you want is wood, then mining a tree with a hatchet is your best tool to use. You will get the most wood from using the hatchet. If you want, however, the most skins, when you harvest a corpse from a creature you've killed, then by using the hatchet you will get the most skins. Now, here's another question. Is there another resource we can get using these two tools from rocks? Okay, you've had time to answer that. The answer is yes. Another resource you can get from mining rocks is metal. You will rarely get metal when using your stone pick to mine rocks. You will very rarely get metal from when mining rocks. So there we have it. If you want to mine more metal, you will use your pick. But bear in mind, you will still very rarely get metal when using your hatchet. So there we are. That's on the resources. I hope that makes good sense to y'all. Okay, that is enough for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, please click the like button and show your support. The next episode will be on gathering food, as we will need to eat soon, so we don't go hungry. We will also look at the effects of the different berries and what effects they can have on us. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep every last one of you safe. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.